portalsofknowing.com presents This Just In with Karen Christine Patrick. Well, hello. I just had a wonderful extended chat with our friend Carla. Brett and I have a great friend, Carla, who we've known on Facebook for quite some time. She is a Swedenborgian minister. You can look at my last podcast to know a tiny bit more about that. But it was interesting talking to her. And we got onto the topic of, what happens in organizations that causes, maybe even a very high conscious or spiritual organization's intentions to turn into negativity, infighting, politics, etc. And I was able to talk to her about hierarchy disease. That's one of many terms that I call hierarchy mindedness. And how that works is humanity, for all its good intentions, for all its intentions towards positive things, to build good relationships and organizations to do all kinds of human things that we do, has either a programming of everybody to think a certain way, maybe starting on the playground, or in our home life, or perhaps part of a genetic makeup. I don't know. I hate to think this is so innate we can't do anything about it, but it has to do with hierarchy mindedness. And how I got into this was I would observe spiritual organizations, political organizations, even just, clubs, nonprofit organizations of all kinds. And I would see, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. I would see how this negative interplay would happen. And I would pull back into observer mode and watch as things played out. And it became really important to me to be very, very, very careful about organizations that I joined. For one thing, I think I sort of draw towards me the negativity. And I used to not understand why this was exactly, and take it very personally and be hurt. And now I kind of understand the dynamic of who I am. I come in pretty much self-motivated and very independent-minded. And when there is someone afflicted with hierarchy disease in a group who's in a leadership position, they find that threatening, because I could easily be the leader of most groups that I join, and I don't really have that intention. I don't mind being the frontline person, doing the direct one-on-one help with the intended client audience or whatever. If I join an organization, I don't mind the grunt work, so to speak. I enjoy that part. But I am a creative person, and I do see, hey, this would be cool if we tried it this way, and my intentions would be pure, is like, hey, let's do this better, because I'm sort of, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been interested in how to do things better, efficiency, all that. And I don't mean it in a criticizing someone, oh, you're doing it wrong. I don't mean it that way. I just think that way. I'm creative. And that would be very threatening to certain people, and I could never understand what's the problem. If we're trying to do something and there is a better way to do it, you don't have to adopt my idea. Let's just at least talk about it and see if it works for everybody. Maybe there's something I didn't see that was a problem with the idea, but it seldom really got to that discussion level. It became turning on me, who does she think she is, blah, 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 a bunch of office politics stuff. And I've actually said that in job interviews that I didn't get, but a couple jobs I did get, just saying, what is my weakness? And my weakness is that I disdain office politics. I really shut down on that. I don't care for it. I don't play it well. I'm not about that. One or two employers liked me saying that. Most of them probably were playing office politics and didn't like me saying that. But, so I really wondered, what is this phenomenon that is causing this to go off base on the attention? And we're talking not just about day-to-day operations and, how to do stuff. We're also talking about when things go really, really wrong, or there's some literal underlying evil. I mean, I've seen that too. I mean, dark stuff, that was going on, people stealing money, people hurting other people, that kind of stuff was going on behind the scenes. And my nickname in junior high was Pollyanna. I was like, oh, there's good in everybody. So I was not really able to absorb for a long time the idea that organizations get co-opted for very dark and selfish reasons. And so then that was something I had to have an education in. So I guess, the universe in its infinite humor put me in organizations where things like that were going on, just so that I would understand that is a potential. And so I've been very confused, frustrated, really, really frustrated. I'm involved in the experiencer movement, which experiencers are people who've had contact with otherworldly beings, or they've seen otherworldly things, or have had paranormal experiences of all kinds. And so that is already an intimidated collective of people who are on the fringe, socially ostracized, made fun of to start with. And then when a few of us stick our necks out, then we draw fire, for doing that. And so that's really a non-emergent, it's there. There's a lot of people who are there. There's a lot of people working in ufology and the paranormal who are not admitting their experiences, but are getting into it because they've had experiences. So it's a not yet emergent group of people. And so it is becoming right now an emergent group of people, and eventually a out of the box group of people, like so many other groups of people who were minorities and oppressed minorities. I'm sorry, this is oppressive. To be this person, you can barely find the words to explain what's happened to you or understand it. And then, of course, when you share it, you're instantly branded as a weirdo or crazy or tinfoil hat wearing person, whatever. A lot of derogatory stuff comes with the experiences. So, hierarchy disease. I want to talk about that because we are in a thought form labyrinth. Okay, we are in a labyrinth that keeps us all under control for the sake of an elite few. I think I'm pretty safe in saying that, having heard that my entire life, because my dad was a conspiracy guy and talked about I heard about the Illuminati and the Bilderbergers and the Federal Reserve and the Council on Foreign Relations and all that governmental stuff since I was 5, basically, when my parents had political meetings in their home trying to understand it and counteract it. And so I heard it my whole life. I heard about the Bilderbergers. I tell people I thought those were evil hamburger makers, Build a Burger. And it probably was McDonald's, but yeah. So I was trying to, make sense of the world really young, that the world wasn't exactly very safe. And so, I did become very quickly aware, because my experiences did start quite young. I just didn't know what that was. But the basic thing happening to me at the same time that this information was coming into my home was that I was already doing downloading. I was downloading information from the morphogenetic field, for lack of a better way to put it, but just the internet, INNERNET. So when I wanted to know something and I was little and I couldn't drive myself to the library, I would just know it. I would just cultivate this knowing process, which is why we call our organization Portals of Knowing, because I've come to value that gateway to knowledge that's within everybody and everything. We are in a quantum hologram. We are built of information. We're drawing that information from somewhere. It's energy based and it manifests into our manifest reality. So it's really the basis of nature as we understand that type of cosmology and origins. So that's my, basic philosophy. And I found that philosophy very useful in a lot of ways. So then you hit the human thing, like you hit the human world, and you hit this hierarchy disease. And this is where some people think they are higher, better, smarter, faster, more beautiful than other people. I can be that way. I'm kind of a smarty pants, and I can kind of be intellectually, I could make that choice. I have in the past where I just, think of myself very intelligent and all. Then I'll do something really dumb, so the universe in its infinite humor, again, will make sure that I get brought down to my real scale, just a human. And I love it. I cherish that now, because then I don't have to have the attitude and harm, really, the mental harm to others that comes with that. And the work in progress. I'm sure a few people in my life will go, "You're still that way." Okay, well, okay, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with balanced philosophy where I get to have abilities and disabilities. And I said this because I spent 20 years full-time, 24/7, taking care of a disabled person. My youngest child, who turns 30 today, hello, Sharon, Tackett, my daughter, turns 30. It really is an achievement for both of us. Her strong will to survive and my strong will to see to it that she does. I took care of her full-time for 20 years. And then she's now in facilities, because that's got to be a really big job and very medically technical. So now she's in a really nice adult family home and doing well. I'm super excited about her achieving that through much adversity. And it really is her strong will to survive, and I give her credit. And she's a great teacher for me spiritually about so many things. I always say the biggest thing I learned from her is living in the moment right now. She's not about, she enjoys stories of the past, and she likes to think about things in the future, but she is like in the right now moment. And that's a great spiritual lesson to learn in life, is being present in the moment. I'm a flibberty-gibbet. I'm either moping in the past, or I'm dreaming of the future, and I needed an anchor and I got one. So that's great. But yeah, that was my experience to see how people that are written off by other people, disabled. She is paraplegic. She has had hydrocephalus. She's developmentally delayed, but she's just, that's just what she has. It's not who she is. And so I got to be around other families with disabled members in them, children and adults, and I was a caregiver of not just my daughter, but other family members. So I've looked, I'm disabled now myself. It's like I've looked at, where people get written off, the lowest class. They're not expected to make an impact of any kind. They're not the movers and shakers. They are the needful. But here's what I learned. If there's people, everyone has abilities and disabilities. And if you look down on people with disabilities, that is your disability. If you are a person who says things derogatory of other people as classes, like a sheeple, or you say people are useless eaters and all this, bottom feeders, there's this incredible, horrifying language involved, then that is your disability. You have hierarchy disease. And hierarchy disease is, you're playing the ladder game. You're playing who's up and down a ladder. So who's up and top, and who's got their day in the sun, and you want to be them, and you're climbing up this ladder, and you're knocking people off if you can, if they're in your way. Or you have a setback, and now you're at the bottom, and I'll never be able to show my face again, and just this constant thought process of an up and down thing. The other way that works is it's pyramidic. So if you think of a pyramid, who's up, down at the bottom of the pyramid, the worker bee people, the dependent class, whatever, and then you go up the ladder, up the side of the pyramid more or less, and now you're in the upper class and you're looking down on everybody else. It's just, if you take any individual human, you have the things that they do well or have or are capable of, their capacity, and you can see, great, that's cool, but everyone's trying to hide that disability side, their fears, phobias, hidden disability, inadequacy, attitudes, lack of capacity. And a lot of people make the choice of trying to beef up their apparent capacity by putting down somebody else. And this is hierarchy dis-ease. And I think it is a mental disorder, because it's, humans at the baseline, if we were being human with each other, if we thought in terms of how families and tribes used to work, in terms of, by the fact of mere survival on this planet, they had to, at least at the village level, support each other. Everyone had to be involved in whatever it took to get fed and have a roof over their head and clothing on their back. Everyone had to be involved. So I can't say there wasn't hierarchy mindedness, because they did have chief structures and all that stuff. Who was a chief? Who was the Indians, more or less. But the point of survival and thriving kept everybody, doing whatever they could, and then if they couldn't, then they were taken care of by the tribe, if possible. Honoring the people that were not able to participate, as well as those who participated very, very well. When you get this artificial hierarchy, obviously you have a natural hierarchy, parents, children, that sort of thing. You have an artificial hierarchy that begins to sort people by class, begins to impinge itself in this concept of money, which is a built-in scarcity. Like, you don't count things that are abundant. So, man, if a tribe had an abundant harvest or hunt, everyone would rejoice and be happy and share. It'd be great. And then they all equally had to share the hardship as well. When you have a money situation, which is an artificial scarcity, now you have people invested in making sure abundance doesn't happen. And I'd say that the number one product of any country is now scarcity. So they will do things to make things scarce. And it takes a while to observe that, but then you see it, because we have the profit motive, we have supply and demand, and supply and demand is based on the idea that if there's a greater supply, the price goes down. Some people don't want the price to go down, so they're going to make sure that we never get to an abundance that allows them to not make a profit. So that's a topic for another time. But I just wanted to say something about hierarchy disease. I think people recognize it when I start talking about it. And it can happen anywhere from a large corporation to a business to a political organization to religious organizations down to a small club. And I famously have a friend named Joanne who was in a knitting club, and she said they were fighting over who was going to be the president of the knitting club. And it's only about 8 to 10 women, in this club. And she says, she's from Texas, and I love her to death. And she said, I thought they were going to stab each other with their knitting needles, And it just made me laugh at picturing that, that they were literally fighting over who's going to be the boss of some small organization. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, basically, stuff like that's ad hoc, right? It just gets together, common interests, that sort of thing. And, probably will disband if people decide they want to go quilt or something, So I just wanted to express that today, and thanks for listening.